Kia ora, e hoa. Haere mai, come and join me. I've found us a story that's a song. A song first, a story second. It's called Floating Down the River. The words and the song is by Simon Stanley, and it's been illustrated by Emily Boswell. He wrote this story after a trip home and going floating down the river with his niece, Marley. Would you like to hear it? Are you nice and comfy? Ready for a story? Well, let's begin. We went floating down the river. Floating down the river. What are they going floating on? A great big tyre? Us two kids in a blow-up tube. The tube from a tyre. Mummy and Daddy in a blue canoe. Floating down the river today. All the birds were singing. All the birds were singing. A tui and a duck and a fantail too. Tweet, tweet, quack, quack, twoo, twoo, twoo. Floating down the river today. Have you done that before? Have you been floating down the river? Maybe in a tyre tube or in a blue canoe. It looks like so much fun. Then we began to wobble. But it's okay. We're just being silly. We've got life jackets and we're real good swimmers. Floating down the river today. We stopped on the bank and jumped in the water. It felt so good, splishing and a splashing. The dog jumped in and we all started laughing. Floating down the river today. Then we had fish and chips for dinner. All wrapped up in a newspaper packet. Smells so good, I can't wait to unwrap it. Fish and chips. Floating down the river today. Have you done that before? Had fish and chips by the river? Salty and warm and good. And then we started getting really sleepy. 'Cause you know what it's like when you've had a big day in the sun and you've got a puku full of food and it's tiring work. Can you see them in the back of the car? Fast asleep. Tucked in bed, and we started dreaming. All about the birds and the water and the blow-up tube, the cheeky little dog, and the fish and chips too. What a cool dream. Say it with me. Floating down the river today. And that's the end of the story. Oh, actually, in the back of the book, yes, there are the words of the story, which are the words of the song, and the music. So if you know how to play the piano or the guitar, you could play the song yourself, or maybe somebody in your whanau or your school could. If you want to find out more about this book, if you want to hear the song, visit simonstanleysays.com. And come and join me again soon. I'll find us another good story. Ka kite. Goodbye, my friend.